Nancy with the Tourism Strong Group, and today we're going to dive right into top 3 questions with Jonathan Ickleby of HTTA. How are you doing today, Jonathan?
Good. Can't complain. Woke up on the right side of the bed today.
We've got some great questions for you today. The first question is going to be, what exactly is HTTA and how did it get started?
HTTA is a series of acronyms. It really stands for the U.S. Hospitality, Travel, Tourism, and Activities Recovery Registry. It's a mouthful. So going with HTTA.US is the easy solution to deal with a long title. Back in mid-March, I wrote an article on LinkedIn that got a lot of coverage. Well, I was talking about solutions that the industry should try to put in motion as fast as possible, actionables really, to start dealing with recovery. Eventually, people reached out and offered to put resources together to help launch one of those initiatives that I was suggesting. Between Bruce and Marina, we basically determined what could be a efficient tool we could create that offered an actionable right away. Because eventually nobody can tell me when the recovery really is going to start across the board. But right now what we can do is data collection. That's one thing we can easily deal with. So we determined, okay, who is the most affected by what's going on? And by far the most affected are those who've lost their income, the unemployed and the furloughed of the industry. What are they missing the most as far as what they would get from their job? And one of the first answers that came up was, with the loss of their email and phone numbers from their workplace, they've lost their connection to the industry. So how could we solve that? And that's how HTTA was born. It really was meant to at first look at a very simple problem it could solve, with the hopes that it could grow into something bigger than it is. Because again, it is meant to really convey the spirits of collaboration and cooperation that, and to a limited extent, innovation that the industry is going to need in order to really move forward. So yes, you have the beginnings of HTTA in a nutshell.
Perfect. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I believe we have Abby Traus in New Orleans, and she has a question also.
Yeah, Jonathan, I was recently furloughed. I'm the director of sales at a brew house, the French Quarter's oldest microbrewery, and we've not been laid off yet, but we are furloughed. And one thing that I was asking Merica whenever we were talking about HTTA is, where would people find you if they are furloughed? Or if they are laid off, how do they find HTTA? I know we can connect on LinkedIn, but do you have something on Facebook? Do you have a website? And what's the first step that we take?
So if you've been furloughed, it doesn't matter if yes or no you're going to be called back. You're already losing this connectivity with your work email address. At least from a legal perspective, that's what businesses are supposed to be doing. So for you to register by just going to HTTA, where the process of registering lasts roughly between 90 and 100 seconds, is something you should do right away. But for those who are not furloughed or unemployed, but still want to be in the know of what's going on with HTTA or want to contribute, then yes, we do have a Facebook page, we do have a LinkedIn page, and the website itself does have a couple of open source things. One of them actually points directly to Tourism Strong for being able to use its resources. But yes, you should. The hardest part about HTTA really is not so much of what we can do or what we will do in the future. It's really at this time to reach out to as many people as possible. the unemployed at this point are mostly brandished as a statistic by trade associations and DMOs. They're not so much so being catered to, or their voice isn't made to count, which is kind of a shame. There are a few exceptions to that, so I'm not going to say it's, you know, how everyone in every constituency have been treated, those who are at the weakest right now. But overall, yes, eventually I'm hoping that HTTA can grow to the point of basically having a say in basically the recovery. Because in the end, it's not because you are no longer working or you're temporarily, you know, out of the playing field that you shouldn't be able to contribute, especially in the thought leadership of the industry. Like, I think it's very important that people are not be looked simply because of who they work for, but also because of their own personal accomplishments.
Thank you so much. Those are great points. Lastly, we have a question from America of Tourism Strong.
Hi, yes, I'm so happy that you mentioned that we should be independent and, you know, in being relevant to the industry. And I think I've spoken with all three of you in terms of us actually being a travel family, a worldwide travel family. So excellent point. And I think that that speaks to the importance of HTTA and, you know, this being an excellent resource that people need to hear more about to empower people. So with that said, I know you have had quite a few people sign up, more than a few, hundreds, thousands, right? And with that, I'm sure on the back end of the website or of the database, you might have seen some key indicators or maybe something that might be helpful in leading you towards a development or a phase 2. So my question was, what kind of data have you found and how has that led you to where you're, you know, rolling into becoming?
So we basically have always been very clear about the fact that we collect anonymized data also, which is one of the reasons why people, even if they're just furloughed, should actually still be registering, because statistically, unfortunately, based on what's going on, they have a higher likelihood of not getting the call back than they have of actually getting it. So it's important to think about the fact that even though we don't collect crazy personal information, even telling us which segment of the industry or which type of position has been affected helps determine a response. For example, right now, some people will tell you, no, there's plenty of jobs I'm seeing being posted left and right. But yes, but guess what? Most of the people in the database, for example, are in sales and marketing. So it doesn't matter if you have 50 jobs for your property and housekeeping, it's not going to help people that are registered. So what's interesting is there's not enough jobs to really help the vast majority of people right now. So I want to dissipate this myth. We've dug, we've looked all over the place. They just don't exist yet. They're going to come back, but they're not here yet. However, when you know who's the most affected as far as profession is concerned, which particular subsector of the travel industry, which area, then you can actually try to offer a target response. Right now, what we've been looking at is mostly offering gigs, because I will not insult you by actually telling you, yes, I can place you as a director of sales into an Amazon warehouse manutention work. That is not what we intend to do. We want to offer things that actually allow you to continue to utilize the skills that you spent years building. So gigs is the temporary answer. The ultimate goal for us is to eventually, from even more collaboration and collective work, get a massive job board out there. Like, it's very interesting to look at what Visit Philadelphia has been doing recently, where they have done pretty much a microcosm version of what we are trying to achieve on a national level. And I can only applaud them for that. They've looked at how they can help both the members that are still alive and doing, like, and trying to survive, and at the same time, they have partnered with a very big purveyor like job board, which right now has 200 jobs. Just to give you an idea, they were able to supply 200 openings for roughly 50 to 60,000 people that they know are out of a job. At least they're trying, right? They are aggregating, and they're all putting it in one place, which eventually has less to do with, you know, the creation of job and more about making sure that the dots get connected a little faster, right? If you get to find out about a job opening 3 weeks earlier than if you were to find it on your own, like those 3 weeks might be the difference between, you know, like skipping on a payment on your mortgage or your rent. It matters. Time is super important right now, and I think that really the faster we get to be cohesive and federate the efforts of the travel industry with its recovery, the better we'll be. I mean, eventually, it all comes down to the fact that it's very selfish. I mean, it is, for me, the industry I live off of. So I do need it to be, you know, healthy in order for myself to be making a, you know, a living. So to say that I don't have an interest because it's a nonprofit is not true. I consider HTTA to be essential for my own recovery. But yeah, I mean, so phase 2 for us really comes down to a gig board, more educational resources. We're trying to put together a series of, you know, lectures specifically for helping people with, you know, updating their resume, looking at how they have to measure their skills. A lot of things that actually individuals, mostly in furlough, have been kind of shy of doing, simply because there's this chance of the callback, right? That kind of holds you back. And I think that at this point, like taking those steps is never going to hurt. Even if you do get the callback, it doesn't matter. Like having an updated resume is something that you should be dealing with on a regular basis. Knowing what are your skill sets, you know, and where you can either improve or change things, it is something that, you know, is beneficial for you for the long run. So we're hoping to continue offering things that are unique, that are relevant, because I think that's the hard part. And we make absolutely no promises at large, in the sense that we know that we're in this for the long run. It's not going to be a fast process. And again, like platforms are very important right now. Between Tourism Strong or HTTA, it really matters that we continue exchanging ideas, like brainstorm, that we continue to determine how can we do things a little differently, and give them a shot, right? Right now, for example, one big problem that exists across the country when it comes to the recovery of the economy at large, not just the travel sector, is how to deal with parents that are, you know, like myself or America, like figuring out daycare and schooling, and if the schools are going to start over or not come September, depending on where you are in the country. And then I'm thinking, but you know what? You have thousands of attractions and museums that are desperate to receive any sort of grants for keeping their doors open. Maybe there's something to explore here, right? Instead of just looking at how we can alternate, you know, how teachers are going to work and outside of it and everything, you know, at home and not in the classroom. It's just an idea, right? But again, generation of idea is the starting point of moving forward, because unprecedented solution.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this interview, and for putting in all of that work with HTTA. We'd like to share more information about HTTA, so if everybody can go online and sign up if you're furloughed, or share this information with other people so that they can sign up as well. And together we will continue to remain tourism strong.
Take care, everyone.